Gee, maybe that Lincoln Riley guy can coach a little bit after all. UCLA loses its leading rusher, but I don't think they care. And people are now trying to hype LAFC losing its top player. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports scene in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it is December 28, 2023. It has stopped snowing in St. Louis, Missouri, and that brightens the mood, as well as the new subscribers that have joined the Angeleno Familia. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. We're going to do our best to keep you informed. And if you like being in the know about LA sports, quickly clack the like button. Quickly clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that and let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and by all means comment. I try to get back to each and every one of you guys. Now and it's funny because a lot of other YouTube channels, they want you to pay before the host comments. Me, I'm but a humble servant. I'll be happy to reach back. Before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. USC has won its first bowl game since 2017. Miller Moss, not Caleb Williams, throws for 6 touchdowns in the Holiday Bowl. It sets a record. USC 42, 15th ranked Louisville 28. The best day the Trojans have had in a long, long time. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Also, Adrian Kempe scores twice. David Riddick gets a second win in net. LA is over 500 at home. The Kings 5, San Jose 1. Meanwhile, today, pretty good slate of games. Charlotte is at the Lakers at 7:30. The Lakers have to win to stay over 500. The Kings are playing on back-to-back nights, which means now they can put in their number one goalie, Cam Talbot. They're playing Vegas at 5. USC basketball is at Oregon at 6 o'clock. The Trojans have lost 3 of their last 4. UCLA is at Oregon State at 5. The Bruins have lost 5 of their last 6. Obviously, it's a Pac-12 opener for both teams. But let's get to the news. 6 weeks of drama. 6 whole weeks. Well, actually, that's not entirely true. It's technically 40 days. But you get the idea. Imagine just being crapped on in the local media, the national media, social media for 6 full weeks. You really have to have really have to have fortitude to get over it. And to be honest with you, the Trojans kind of had it coming, right? They stuck by Alex Grinch, their defensive coordinator. Obviously, it cost them a chance at greatness with Caleb Williams under center of the offense. And the last time we saw USC at all, they were absolutely torn to shreds in their own house by UCLA. And they too, just like UCLA basketball, had lost 5 of their last 6 games. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I was cringing right along with every one of you USC fans, every step of the way. It was complete and total cringe. And then, of course, after the UCLA game, everything just shoots into overdrive. Oh my God, the can't-miss quarterback of the future just entered the transfer portal. The recruiting class sucks. Are you insane? You can't start Miller Moss. He's a pocket passer. That's the air raid offense. We've got to fire Lincoln Riley. Turns out you can start Miller Moss, guys. You can. I mean, for Pete's sakes, not only did he throw for 6 touchdowns, but the redshirt sophomore, and that's critical, threw for 372 yards. And just like that, all the stormy waters calmed as if Jesus was walking on it. You know, sometimes you can be a coach and deny panic, deny the fires around you, like that meme of the dog sitting in the burning house. You can deny it and you look like Brandon Staley. Other times, let's be real, you look like Lincoln Riley, who just basically lost more than 20 players going into the transfer portal or going into the NFL draft, came out and B-slapped a ranked team on national TV. So we mentioned Moss repeatedly, but we would also be remiss if we didn't mention the defense, because that was the first time that they had allowed as few as 28 points since the Arizona State victory in September. And the week before was the only time in conference play forward that they allowed fewer than 28 points. The defense, 28 points is not exactly a terrific showing, but considering how the defense played against virtually everybody else, anybody else shocked that they allowed less than 30 points? You have to ask yourself if D'Anton Lynn tossed the playbook at the coaching staff that was left over and said, look, guys, you have a month to coach these players up with this new philosophy, because we need to know what we have going into the offseason program. Show me what you got. Again, not that 28 points is amazing. Unless you compare it to Alex Grinch, then it's absolutely amazing. So you tell me, how optimistic are you right now, all things being equal, as to where USC stands going into the Big Ten? Because the sun is a lot shinier over Heritage Hall right now, I must tell you. Meanwhile, the LA Daily News is reporting that UCLA's Carson Steele has declared for the NFL draft. And I'll be honest with you, when I look, damned if I know why. I don't think this is a particularly bright idea, but who am I? He wasn't even the feature back for the Bruins after a while, right? They brought him in from Ball State. They were sitting there thinking, okay, our running game is going to pick up right where it left off after losing Zach Charbonnet to the NFL. And Steele didn't have a terrible year, 847 yards and 6 touchdowns. But he wound up beating second leading rusher T.J. Harden by only 20. T.J. Harden was the guy toward the end of the year. And Harden scored more touchdowns. I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to disrespect Carson Steele, but to me, the thing that's going to be, people are going to remember more about Carson Steele than anything else is the fact that he has a pet alligator, which is a hell of a pickup line in the clubs, right? But I don't necessarily think he's going to be going to the clubs with the pickup line of, hey, I'm a starting NFL running back. I don't see that happening. I see him more as a special teamer on the Colts, to be honest with you. But you tell me, because I will say this, you can clown Chip Kelly as much as you want, and a lot of your critiques may be on point. But one thing that dude does know how to do is generate yards in the running game out of the spread. He practices witchcraft for that, I'll tell you that much. I want to preface a lot of what I'm about to say about both LA soccer teams with a disclaimer. I trust the foreign soccer press about as much as I do when a stripper tells me that she's putting the money to law school. Okay? A French newspaper is reporting that Nice wants to add LAFC striker Dennis Bouanga. Now, that could happen. It could. But if it does, that club would have to cut a fat check. Not just a fat check, I mean a morbidly obese check. A check you and I couldn't even lift up without leverage. That's how fat the check would have to be. Because losing Bouanga literally guts LAFC for 2024. LAFC would not even remotely be in position to win MLS Cup or any cup, or for that matter, not even be, they might be, if they lose Dennis Bouanga, there is the distinct possibility that that team doesn't even qualify for MLS Cup playoffs. And by the way, I realize that LAFC fans and Galaxy fans, I'm a Galaxy supporter, I realize that they like to butt heads, that they like to talk a lot of crap. But give LAFC credit for this. The leadership of that club is not stupid. They know exactly what would happen if they sold Dennis Bouanga. He is literally the guy that they are building their entire team around. He wrestled that leadership mantle away from Carlos Vela. Carlos Vela is in his mid-30s. He does not have that level of scoring touch anymore. He doesn't. Dennis Bouanga does. So if you want LAFC to literally put a knife into their own throat, you better make it worth committing suicide over. We'll talk about the Galaxy in a couple of moments, because there's a rumor that I'm not sure I buy either. I doubt it was intentional, but I do applaud Dodgers pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto for trolling the rest of baseball. During his press conference yesterday, he was telling the scribes that new teammate Shohei Ohtani was not the reason he came to LA. He said he would have probably signed with LA if Ohtani went somewhere else, which, by the way, is a hell of a troll, because a lot of the teams were matching the salary that the Dodgers offered, at least according to reports. So the scribes were like, oh, well, if everybody's matching the salary, clearly Yamamoto's coming to LA because he wants to hang out with one of his countrymen. Wrong. Now, don't get me wrong, it probably was about the money. But it's also got to be about the fact that he's joining a team that already gets 100 wins in the regular season time and time again. He is not considered the savior of the Dodgers. For that matter, neither is Ohtani. That's a hell of a selling point, on top of having, say, generational wealth. Yamamoto, by the way, is going to wear number 18, which is something that I just learned is significant in Japanese culture. I had no idea. You know how, like in soccer, if you wear a certain number, that it's indicative of how important you are to the team? Like the 9 is the can't miss striker, right? In baseball, in Japan, wearing number 18 signals that you consider yourself the ace of the staff. It's like 55 to USC defense. You know what that means. I had no idea. So clearly he sees big things for himself in LA. Reliever Brian Hudson, by the way, was designated for assignment in order to make room for Yamamoto on the 40-man roster. The Giants are switching quarterbacks yet again this season, this time just to see if they can throw a twist at the Rams. Journeyman Tyrod Taylor, you might remember him. He's a former Chargers quarterback. He's going to replace Tommy DeVito. DeVito started 6 games as an undrafted rookie, became really popular among Giants fans, but he wound up getting benched for Taylor during Monday Night Football. New York still has a mathematical shot at a playoff berth. LA can qualify if they win and get a little help either from one of 2 games. We talked about that more in depth yesterday, by the way. A little bit more on the Rams. We know Sean McVay can flat out coach, but I want to give you a little bit of inside football, if you will. Credit Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator, for scheming a way to limit Alvin Kamara's impact in last Thursday's victory over the Saints. If you watch a lot of NFL football, you've heard of Alvin Kamara. He is the guy who not only runs well, but catches all kinds of passes and just turns it into touchdowns. He is 4th among running backs in receiving yards this year. He is basically what the Chargers had wished Austin Eckler could be. Eckler is kind of like this. Kamara is just off the charts by comparison. So what did Morris do to limit Alvin Kamara and thus ensure a Rams victory? Well, he took Ernest Jones, the linebacker, who normally plays in the middle, put him to the outside, opposite of where Aaron Donald was lining up. Now, why does that matter? because Donald commands so many offensive linemen to help out on him. And then what Jones said was, we're just going to send Jones blitz after blitz after blitz. So if all the offensive linemen are focusing over here on Aaron Donald, and here comes Ernest Jones on an open blitz, somebody has to block him. Guess who that was? You guessed it, Alvin Kamara. So basically, a key Saints weapon was absolutely neutralized thanks to Raheem Morris's scheming. So credit where it's due. I mentioned talking about the Galaxy earlier. There's a rumor about them as well. The Galaxy are scouring South America for strikers so that their midfielders, they have an excellent midfield. Say what you want about the Galaxy. Their midfield is set. But if you're a midfielder, you get the ball, you look up the pitch, and you're like, where's somebody to pass to? That's a problem. So the Galaxy are trying to solve that. There is a little bit of smoke about this dude in Argentina, Pablo Solari. Now, I'm not saying the guy's name because I think it's going to happen. I'm not saying the guy's name because the Galaxy are allegedly posting record sums of money to sign the guy. I'm only reporting it because so far the only two big Galaxy rumors have been linked not to aging European strikers, but to two strikers down in South America. There is, in fact, a change of focus to the way the Galaxy is building their team. Whether it turns out to be successful or not, clock's ticking, guys. But at least we know where they're looking. The Kings have activated defenseman Vladislav Gavrikov from injured reserve. He had the dreaded lower body injury, but he's back in action. Did you watch the game against the Sharks last night? If you did, you might have noticed how the Sharks got their first goal. Kevin Fiala committed just a really unseemly turnover. Try this ridiculous sort of behind the back pass, no look behind the back pass to nobody but a Sharks player. And of course, the Sharks player went in on an uncontested breakaway and scored. Todd McClellan had seen enough of this hot dog routine and benched Fiala for the remainder of the first period. Fiala got the message. He scored a game-tying goal on his own breakaway, and then the next thing you know, the Kings asserted themselves, coasted to the easy victory. So yeah, good night for the Angelenos, I must say. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about if you are optimistic about the future of USC football after last night. Talk to me about UCLA losing their leading rusher, and if you think TJ Harden or somebody else is going to pick up the slack. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.